Have you ever pondered why good relationships go bad? Why does passionate love often turn into resentment? In our exploration of relationships, we often stumble upon these questions. The spiritual teacher, Eckhart Tolle, provides intriguing insights into this very mystery. Tolle introduces us to the typical cycle of relationships, a cycle that many of us, knowingly or unknowingly, are a part of. Imagine a relationship, an intimate one, a connection that begins with a rush of affection, a surge of love. But over time, this very love morphs into something less pleasant. Why does this happen? According to Tolle, the culprit is often our own ego. Our ego attaches itself to the relationship, turning what should be an expression of true love into a vessel for its own needs and desires. This ego attachment creates a clinginess, a neediness that is often mistaken for intense love. But in reality, it is far from it. It's a form of addiction, an unhealthy dependence that feeds the ego but starves the soul. As time passes, this addictive clinging starts to poison the relationship. The love that was once a source of joy turns bitter. It transforms into resentment, into anger, into hate. It's a cycle as old as time, and yet every time it catches us off guard. But here's the real kicker. We often think of love and hate as polar opposites, two emotions at the extreme ends of the spectrum. But Eckhart Tolle suggests something different, something radical. He proposes that love and hate are not opposites. Instead, they stem from the same impulse. And thus, we find ourselves at the heart of the paradox, at the core of the cycle of relationships. The very source of our deepest affection can become the wellspring of our greatest resentment. It's a cycle, a pattern, a dance of emotions that can leave us spinning. We often think of love and hate as opposites, but Eckhart Tolle suggests they stem from the same impulse. What is the true nature of love? Is it the intense, needy love we often experience, or is there something more? Eckhart Tolle, a renowned spiritual teacher, invites us to question our perceptions of love. The love we often experience, he suggests, is not genuine love at all, but a form of attachment rooted in our ego's need for validation and security. This intense, clinging kind of love is more akin to addiction, a desperate need to fill a void within us. It's a love that demands, that clings, that can't let go, but this is not the true essence of love. Tolle invites us to consider that this needy love often masks a deeper pain within us, and in our relationships we project this pain onto our partners. We use love as a shield, as a way to avoid confronting our own insecurities and fears. In this way, our love can quickly turn to hate, resentment, or disappointment when our partners fail to fill the void that, in truth, they were never meant to fill. This is a cycle as old as time, a dance of love and hate, of need and rejection. It's a cycle that can seem impossible to break free from. But Tolle suggests that it's not only possible to escape this cycle, but necessary if we are to experience true love. True love, according to Tolle, is not a transaction, not a negotiation, not a game of give and take. It's not about possessing or being possessed. It's not about clinging or being clung to. True love is freedom. It's understanding. It's acceptance. It's seeing the other not as an extension of our ego, but as a unique, autonomous being, worthy of love and respect in their own right. This kind of love doesn't cling, doesn't demand, doesn't seek to possess. It simply is. So is there a kind of love that transcends this duality? Eckhart Tolle believes there is. How can we transcend the duality of love and hate? Is there a path to a more enlightened relationship? These are the questions that we find Eckhart Tolle asking as he delves deeper into the exploration of intimate relationships and the nature of love. You see, Tolle believes that at the core of most relationships lies a fundamental duality, a push and pull between love and hate, attachment and aversion. But what if we could transcend this duality? Tolle suggests that there is a possibility of a love that goes beyond this dichotomy, a love that is not bound by the constraints of the ego or the limitations of attachment. This kind of love, Tolle suggests, is not a fleeting emotion or a temporary state of being. It is not something to be chased after or clung to. Instead, it is a state of presence and acceptance. It is about being fully present in the moment, accepting your partner as they are, without trying to change them or wishing they were different. And how do we cultivate this kind of love? Tolle suggests that it begins with awareness. It starts with recognizing the egoic patterns that often drive our relationships, the need for validation, the desire for control, the fear of abandonment. By becoming aware of these patterns, we can start to disidentify from them, to see them for what they are, just patterns, not our true selves. From this place of awareness, we can then start to cultivate presence. And it is in this state of presence that we can truly meet our partners, not as objects to be possessed or controlled, but as fellow beings on this journey of life. In this state of presence, love becomes not a doing, but a being. It is not something we give or receive, but something we are. And it is from this place of being that we can truly love, without conditions, without expectations, without demands. So can we transcend the duality of love and hate? According to Tolle, not only is it possible, but it is the path to a more enlightened, more fulfilling relationship. True love, according to Eckhart Tolle, is not about ego or attachment, but about presence and acceptance. What does the power of now have to do with our relationships? This question brings us to the heart of Eckhart Tolle's philosophy. The power of now, as Tolle describes it, is the profound realization that the present moment is all we truly have. The past is a memory and the future is a projection, but life happens in the now. How then does this concept apply to our relationships? You see, when we are fully present, we experience our relationships differently. There's a deeper connection, a richer understanding. We start to notice the subtle nuances in our interactions, the unspoken words that convey so much more than the spoken ones. We begin to appreciate the beauty of the moment, the joy of simply being together. In the realm of relationships, being present means being fully engaged with the other person. It means listening attentively, responding thoughtfully, and most importantly, it means being aware of your own feelings and reactions. This heightened awareness can free us from the cycle of love and hate that Tolle speaks about. When we are present, we are not clinging to past grievances or worrying about future uncertainties. We are not projecting our pain onto our partners, nor are we seeking validation or fulfillment from them. Instead, we are simply experiencing the relationship as it is, in its raw, unfiltered form. This is not to say that being present will magically solve all relationship issues, but it does provide a fresh perspective, an opportunity to break free from destructive patterns and cultivate healthier ways of relating. It enables us to meet each other with understanding and compassion rather than judgment and resistance. So, what is the power of now in relationships? It's the power to transform, to heal, to connect on a deeper level. It's the power to see beyond the illusions of the ego and experience the essence of true love. It's the power to be fully alive in each moment, to savor the joy and navigate the challenges with grace and wisdom. Eckhart Tolle teaches us that in the power of the present moment, we can find the path to healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Let's reflect on what we've learned from Eckhart Tolle's views on relationships. We started with the cycle of relationships, where we explored how the ego can transform love into hate. We learned that this cycle is often driven by a sense of attachment and addictive clinging that stems more from ego than from genuine love. This cycle can turn even the most passionate and loving relationships into sources of pain and conflict. Then we delved into the nature of love, where Tolle suggests that both love and hate stem from the same impulse. This means that the intensity of love can just as easily turn into the intensity of hate. What's fascinating is that this intensity, whether love or hate, is often a reflection of our own inner state, rather than a response to the other person. Our journey then took us to the concept of transcending the duality. Tolle urges us to question if there is a kind of love that transcends this duality, a love that is free from the ego's desire to possess and control. This is not a love that is based on need or dependency, but a love that arises from a deep sense of connectedness and unity. Finally, we touched on the power of now in relationships. The idea that by being fully present in the moment, we can break free from the cycle of ego-driven relationships. By practicing presence, we can let go of past hurts and future anxieties, and experience love in its purest form. This, Tolle suggests, is the key to transforming our relationships. As Eckhart Tolle suggests, to find true love, we must first find presence and acceptance within ourselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration and understanding.